Awesome, that's going on. So how come you're getting back into the local SEO space? Because I thought you weren't like that big of a fan of it anymore. How come the re-entering?
Just because there was a need for a tool like this, and it's a way for me to automate everything. So I mean, I still have a few clients that I work with, but most of it's just there's a big need for like tools for GMB stuff and just local SEO in general. So it was kind of a good opportunity.
Yeah, it caught my eye because you actually recently released like a verification method in your group, right?
Yeah, there's a couple methods in there.
Yeah.
I have all kinds of tools. I kind of went from like, everyone knows me as being this black hat spammer guy, but then I kind of got more into white hat. But now I build tools for everything. So like I even have a tool that will actually go out and like flag listings. So like I'm kind of just whatever people need, like I can build the tool for it. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Are you coding it yourself or mostly hiring dev?
No, I mean I coded some of it, but the other stuff I had it actually had it done. I have a good Python developer, so he's good at doing like some of the scraping and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love fucking Python. Literally, I code everything in it. Think it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so we're gonna be building some tools for content generation. We'll be building tools for doing like audits for like whatever's ranking locally on maps and organically. Have a couple report tools, a couple of spam reporters. We'll have another one that's going to build local guide accounts. We'll have another one that will check citations and links. And then we have quite a few. We got about ten different ones we're building right now.
I actually started playing around with content generation myself in or well with Python because I'm not a big fan of AI. I
And
think
not either.
yeah, I think it's still too early to really have a good foundation for like content writing in there, or at least that's my opinion. But Andrew Sterling, he's like obviously you probably know him. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, he actually showed me some nice stuff. So I figured, yeah, we'll play around with it. Created some tool that would like make a landing page was pretty cool. But I don't really use it. I think it's too early still. Um I'm
Yeah,
very yeah.
I don't use chat stuff, but there is some AI stuff that we did build with it. So we have one that actually goes out and generates content without AI, and then we have one that generates with it. But
Nice.
eventually, like we'll be building everything into like we'll be able to automate literally the entire like ranking process for GMBs and organic.
Yeah, that's something that I'm looking into. I'm currently automating most of my stuff myself with Python because I think with Python almost anything is possible, and it's a ridiculously easy language to learn.
Very easy. Yeah.
Yeah. I love Java. I don't know if you noticed, but Cora is actually written in Java.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Java. I just think that if you want to build something for an
It's
industrial
too
size,
heavy. It's too heavy.
yeah, you have to write in C++ plus plus if you really want to go for industrial size or at least something that needs the capacity as Cora does. I think the tool is amazing, right? I think it's really good, but I think if it would be written in C++, plus plus, it would be way faster. It would take way longer to actually write it because there's a big difference, but it would take way less to actually generate a report.
Yeah, I have a couple of tools that we're building actually in Java that actually helps do like appeals for listings.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one's written in Java. And then we have the reporting tool is actually written in Python. So
Ah, nice. Yeah, I recently started working with Python to, well, I first automated patch articles. You know patch, right?
yeah, yeah.
I figured, it's cool if I can automate that. Because I was playing around with some mass page sites, so I figured if I can just use that to link it up, that would be really cool. So I start playing around with that, and currently I'm rebuilding my YouTube tool, which is something that I don't really see the use of it yet, but I just love developing it. Like
Yeah.
it's just fun. That's the fun side of SEO is there's so much that you can automate if you know how to do it. Um, I just love that part. Yeah, especially GMB wise, I would say.
There's a ton of stuff you can automate with GNBs.
Um, I actually figured that you could probably automate the posting on it, on a large
Yeah,
scale.
so we can automate right now. We can automate posting service, like basically anything that you can fill in your dashboard. We can automate.
Yeah,
Um, we're automating like generating review content to send out to customers. Like, hey, thanks for like using our service. Like, if you could please post this review, let us know how you did. Like it'll generate the content for them, so they could just literally just say, hey, just go ahead and post this to help us out. Um, we even have stuff to generate photos to post. So like literally everything you can do within your dashboard, we have the ability to do it.
that's pretty cool. Yeah. For people who are watching that don't know this, Jordan actually has a course he's selling access to and a group that you can buy access in where he shares really advanced stuff. I plan to get access, but they don't accept PayPal, I believe, and I am not a big fan of credit cards. I really am not. Um, I do have one, but I like their prepaid credit cards, so I have to charge them. I'm not a big fan of credit cards. In Belgium, we don't have credit scores like that, so it really doesn't matter. So yeah, buy the course, join it. It's a really good course.
Yeah, so there is a course that's like just online platform, or if you just want to join the Facebook group, it's separate. If you join the course, you get access to the Facebook group too.
Awesome. Definitely plan on getting access, but it was with card, and I yeah forgot forgot that pretty much. Yeah. Oh well.
The Amex. I hate Amex with a passion. No Amex.
Why? Why do you hate Amex?
I hate it because as a merchant, because Amex
Oh
loves
yeah.
their fucking customers.
So I mean, I think like my customers having an Amex card, like obviously that's one scare, right? Because like people always win their chargebacks,
Every
or I would
single
say
time.
like 90% of the time, right? But
99%. Yeah.
but as somebody that during the course of this last year has probably spent $250,000 on his Amex card, like a lot of the benefits going like going back to like maybe even flights or you know maybe paying one of my bills even with my credit card and just points has been wonderful.
Oh, I have no
Just
doubt it's a great card. I just don't like it as a
yeah.
merchant.
Oh,
Uh,
for sure. Yeah, definitely not. It's definitely a pain in the ass. I mean, that's why I have like a 10-page agreement that people sign when I sign them up for something, but for sure.
Well,
But
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
but JP, so can you explain, I guess, so you do SEO full time? Is that your gig?
yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay. And then you said you used to be in like the black hat world, and then now
So
I
I
guess you're
started, so when I started, I actually started in maps. And like when I first started, I think I had at one point like 6,000 listings and websites for local. Everything from like auto glass to, garage door, locksmith. We worked in like pool cleaning. We worked in about five different categories. And then I had a partner at the time. We had about 30 VAs in the Philippines.
okay.
And then around like the beginning of 2013, there was kind of a scuff between me and my partner. Basically, he told Google our network, and we lost those listings and sites overnight. And the main platform that we were using to create the listings got shut down. So then I started getting to doing like more one-on-one consulting and some client work. I mean, I still did like, you know, lead gen stuff, but like not as heavy.
Right. So you've been in
But
the SEO space for quite some time.
yeah, I've been in it since like towards the end of 2007.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely quite a while. So you did mention like images, right? And like AI images and like how do you, because I saw a post, I won't name names, but like let's take roofing, for example. Somebody has a Google image, Unsplash image, stock image, right, of some shingles on a roof, right? I see now that like AI is changing some of those photos to, I guess, make it more unique, right? Like
Yeah,
how
I would not, I don't use any AI for the photos. We just scrape any existing photos. We usually scrape them from like Bing or another search engine.
right, right. Okay.
That's actually pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
AI is, I mean, I think AI imaging for like trying to use it for business is probably not the way to go.
Yeah, one of the posts that I saw, so they took this AI image of shingles, right? And it bent them, it made them look horrible. And I'm like, why would you want to put this on, your
Yeah.
customer's D&B profile or something? It just makes it look like they did a horrible job.
Surprised they didn't like try to make like shingles a skin disease.
I think if you do something with images, it's really easy to actually quality check them if you have like a basis, right? Um, well, at least back from the day when I was actually coding, I would, for fun, create like RuneScape bots. I don't know if any of you are interested with, ever played RuneScape or know it. It's a stupid game that was
Been a
too
long
addictive.
time. Yeah, a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, but basically, I created bots for private servers. So this meant that you didn't have a bot client, and I didn't feel like coding it. So as a result, I would actually take images on a fast speed, let Python do that, and then actually quality check them all um, simultaneously, so that I have a good idea of what the thing that I tried to kill looked like, and it would automate the killing based on that. So I think in general, with the same concept, you could actually um, well, have a good idea of whether the image is relevant or not, right? Especially, I think Google Lens even has an API which allows you to check what the image is about. So I think it's far easier nowadays to quality check your images if you do something like scraping,
Yeah,
right?
you could probably just do that and like reverse image it and see what's out
Yeah,
there.
exactly. I think that might be ridiculously easy.
But yeah, I definitely wouldn't use AI to use photos for like your business.
No, I think it's good if you play around with some stuff that you don't mind losing, you know. Um, Yeah, it's funny because you guys actually were talking about Amex. They said the same thing about PayPal, and it's funny because I actually got my first dispute like I think 2 weeks ago, and I was terrified because I thought I was going to lose because they have the reputation, but I actually won. And it's really funny because yeah, I was
Yeah, I
quite
actually had
shocked.
my PayPal account shut down a couple years ago because they just decided they wanted to. So I'm like, all right, so no more.
Yeah, that was
It's not really made. It's not really made for like services though. I mean, I'm surprised people still use it. I mean, I get it for like overseas, but PayPal's not really made for like doing what we do.
Right.
well.
And I think in your guys' industry, like if somebody's going to pay you, they need to send it to friends and family. And I know it's kind of hard to build that trust, but then it's like if somebody's not willing to pay you that way and be like, look,
Yeah,
this isn't a risk I'm willing to take, then it's like, hey, maybe I shouldn't even take the
yeah,
work. Right.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I agree. It's just something that I start using as Git and never really stopped using.
Yeah, I have a couple clients that just pay me with Zelle, like don't bat an eye with it, and like it works fine.
Yeah, it does, right? It has its ups and it has its downs, but for a service provider, indeed, it's not ideal. Normally, I don't really use it nowadays anymore, only for a couple of clients that I really know that just use that. But yeah, I get that. Like, it's scary how many people actually win a chargeback or a dispute. That's just really fucked up through PayPal. Uh,
Yeah, I haven't had the PayPal ones because I use QuickBooks, right? So Intuit is my merchant service provider, but
Nice.
I every time I get a chargeback, I include the service agreement and everything that I have clients sign is just e-signature, right? So there's really there's like no backing out. I have like a long conversation via email that I include like exhibits and stuff. So when I when I submit a chargeback response, it's probably, a good 30 to 40 pages. So people are kind of screwed.
Yeah, it's, and that's a nice thing to have as a provider. But you don't really do SEO, right? You do private investigation. It's funny because you actually grew with a mass page site, right? Like you grew quite rapidly. No?
Yep, yeah. And I think your first podcast, the creator of Keyword Chef, I think he even got his start with somebody in the private investigation realm.
Yeah,
But
Ben Adler.
yep. So yeah, I mean, 2 years ago I created my business and I was working for somebody and I just saw like an extreme decline in, leads and I was just like, hey, like how can I take this and just do it myself? So, I mean, just thinking about it, it's like, well, what makes a good private investigator? Well, maybe I should like figure out how to market, right? Because I mean, if you can't, I mean, you guys are SEO professionals, right? Like you guys do this day in and day out. Like you guys are inherently like an investigator in your own niche, right? Like this is something that you guys do every day. You try to corner the market on specific things. Like even the blackout world, JP, is it Jordan?
Yeah, yeah.
Jordan? Right. I mean, like you did, things for many, many years where it's just trial and error, right? And it's like, hey, how
Yeah,
can I make this
there
work?
was no forums back then. I mean, even when I started, that's I would say that's probably what gave me an edge is the fact that I created my own test network. I'm probably the only person who has his own network. But yeah, most of it was, I mean, all of it was trial and error.
I think
Right.
if you run a business, you need to like no matter what kind of business you run, right? You have to have a good concept, like good understanding of marketing. Is actually rather scary because you give SEOs as an example, but you would really be surprised how many SEOs are absolute um uneducated when it comes to business, whether it's marketing themselves or anything like that. It's actually confused me because you see this pattern of people buying courses on how to become a better SEO, and then they think that's gonna get me leads. In a lot of cases, that isn't the case. What they're failing to do is build an acquisition channel. Now, for a local business like yours, that's gonna be a good way. It's gonna get um, SEO up. But I believe as an SEO agency, sure, you need local presence, but there's also lots more to it. You need, well, I believe that in case for me, for example, I get a lot of my business because I had a reputation or referrals, and I'm highly reliant on social media and having that ability to sell yourself and market yourself and building a consistent brand is so vital, and a lot of SEOs actually suck at that. And that's really funny. That's one
Yeah, I
way
mean,
to
I tell a lot of people too, like, like even just agencies, like, man, I don't know how to get clients. I'm like, well, you live in like, you live in a big city, right? They're like, yeah. I said, why aren't you like networking yourself? Get out there,
exactly.
do it the old-fashioned way. Go shake hands, like be the best SEO agency within your area. There's no reason why you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, that and a lot of SEOs they tend to be scared or even um neglect other marketing strategies. Like yes, SEO takes a lot of time. You need to get clients. There's Google ads, there's Facebook ads. You need to understand how funnels work, or at least have the money to hire somebody to do that. Get something like that set up. Indeed, build your network, and that's where I feel like a lot of SEOs stay below average. And or at least business wise, they stay below average. They never really break through, and that doesn't mean that they're bad SEOs. It's just like David says, they suck at sales,
Yeah.
and that's horrible.
I mean, I know a lot of really good agencies that do extremely well, and they started off doing sales and literally didn't even know how to rank a site.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's ways to do it. Sometimes that's you kind of have to do it the ass backwards way. But I mean, if you want to do well in this business, sometimes you just have to just get out there and grind like the old times and just knock doors.
Right.
I mean,
I think a
don't.
lot I think a lot of the confusion nowadays though is like people don't understand like the difference between like having a business, having a brand, like who is the brand, like there's just so many confusing aspects when it comes to somebody that owns a business nowadays. Like, so I was in St. Lucia last week. We were on me and my wife's 10th anniversary, and there was the owner of this company called Smart Social, and we were just I was in a hot tub just hanging out, and he was like asking me what I was doing. We kind of went back and forth, and he was like, hey, like I get a ton of my leads through YouTube, and I'm like, okay, I started, asking him questions. We went back and forth, and he was like, you should really like push YouTube content. And I explained to him that like not every niche or industry is built around this YouTube thing, right? Because especially in my industry, like anonymity is like everything, right? Now, if it's like
Yeah, you have to
informational,
be. You have to be.
right? So like if it's more of like an informational, use case, then sure. But let's say you're creating a YouTube channel and you're pumping out 5 videos a week, but every video is just complete ass and your thumbnails are horrible. Like when you're speaking to an audience, like like the topical relevancy from the actual title of the video to jumping right into the content needs to be relevant. Like people aren't just going to sit there and watch you talk about something that isn't even relevant to the topic, right? So
Yeah.
like if you're better off creating one good YouTube video than 10 really shit ones. So people just need to hone in on like what they're good at, and then figure out like are you building a brand? Are you building your name? Like what are you doing with whatever it is you're doing within your relevant niche?
Yeah, I think that's another big issue that I often see when people run a company, and that's most people like they want to be the face, they want to be the company owner, they want to be the expert on the craft, they want to be the manager, they want to be all of that. Most of them they're just not that person. Sometimes like certain specific roles in a company require a different approach. For example, you want to be the face of the brand, that's cool, but are you that kind of person who rocks at storytelling? Because in order to create engaging content, you need to be able to tell your story, right? To be good at that. um are you creative? Like are you the kind of guy who can create really nice and engaging content? And often that's not the case. So people want to be too much at once instead of, as you said, honing their skills and what exactly they rock at. I think most people don't really realize what they rock at, and as a result, they just use like what I call the shotgun technique. It's just shooting everywhere and hoping that something sticks. Mm, I think that's a big issue nowadays. Yeah.
Also hard to I'm a bit, I'm a guilty of this myself, is like, when you're first starting out in business, you don't want to let go of what you have, right? It's your baby. Being able to delegate responsibilities when you start getting into hiring mode is extremely difficult. um I don't mind delegating when it comes to sales, but when it comes to the tech, that's probably my hardest. Like, if I were to go train someone how to do a certain aspect of like maps, for example, like it's really hard for me to like, ingrain in their head like how my brain works, and it's hard to build a process because my SLP is just,
Yeah.
it's just not there, and it's not something that not everyone can really understand it.
Yeah.
It's hard to put like your experience and expertise like into words that someone can understand.
Yeah, I personally think like, and this I used to work with Israel Godet, he used to
Yeah.
mentor me back in the beginning. I was beginning agency, like I was earning 5,000 a month at that point, and he was teaching me affiliate marketing. But his systems, like everybody thinks he's doing this complex thing. That's not the case. Like he's keeping it very simplistic, and he's booking insane results. That's just the case. His results are undeniable. I've seen his backend. I've seen how well he does, and he just keeps it very simple and keeps it easy to follow. That's something I started doing myself too. Because back in the day, David and I used to partner up on a specific industry, And our big issue was giving up that control because we always assumed that they wouldn't get what we tried to do, like they wouldn't do on page the way we did it. So we would get frustrated with our employees because we just didn't like the way they did it because it wasn't our way. And I found out that giving up that piece of control was actually good, but there are some things that you simply cannot outsource. There are pieces of my process that I do myself because it's simply not something that I'm confident in that all the people will be able to get, not something I can simplify as much as my other process, because my processes are very simplified, like everybody can do them. Just certain stuff, well, it doesn't work, and it's like you say, like it's your baby, it's something you create, yeah. So it's also a bit personal.
Yeah, that's even like with the SaaS that I'm building. That's why I built it in a way where just being able to automate it, where it's literally like all you have to do is log in and click go, and it'll do everything for you. So that's kind of my way of building an SLP is putting it into a software form because I just don't have another way of doing it.
Exactly, that's what I'm investing a lot in nowadays is automating my stuff, because for example, I do some Google Stacks every now and then, and recently I've been using Staxio a lot. But back then I had this very intensive SOP that would take approximately 2 hours to get a good stack going. Um, and it's ridiculous because that's such a cost, like a cut of cost. Like it's not cost efficient to hire somebody if you can automate it. So I've been really doing a lot in automation myself. I think if you can automate something, that's even better than a good SOP. Yeah, definitely. Hi Tyler, how are you doing, man? Oh well, we have two Tylers now. Tyler Mcbride, Tyler Rodgers. Um, figured.
Brent, sir.
How are you doing, man?
Good, man. Good.
Awesome. Happy to hear that, dude. Happy to hear that. Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, going back to our little discussion about like being the face of the brand and stuff. Like when I first created my business, I even had an issue putting in my signature, president and CEO, because
Yep.
being somebody that worked for somebody for so long, I'm like, this is like the corniest fucking title. Like it just is.
Hey
Like
mom, hey
ever.
dad, look at me, I'm an owner.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just director. That's all I am, just the director, right? And
Yep.
it gave me like a sense like, hey, I'm not above anybody. I just want to talk to somebody as a person. And that's kind of like my sales approach, right? So it's like I want to understand a client and A, to make sure they're not completely insane, and then B, to get it just to get a better understanding of like, hey, like here's our action yielding objectives and this is what we're going to provide you at the end, just so there's no like, hey, you overpromised and under delivered, stuff like that.
Yeah, for the longest time, I think I put like team lead or something like that, just because I did it for like my actual VAs that were with me, and I did it for clients too. I don't know, for some reason I don't think I've ever put like CEO or like president or anything like that as my title ever.
Right. Yeah, I mean yeah, I mean it's not like I'm the president of the United States or something. It just felt corny
And
the entire
people
time.
look at it weird too, like even with clients, they're like, well, they would start going like behind, my guys, like my employees' backs, like they're like, hey, I want to talk to the president. So I just started to put like, hey, like you can literally talk to anyone at the company.
Right. Yeah, well, and that's the thing. It's so over the last couple of years, people are like, hey Tyler, can I speak with your supervisor? And then it's like, well, I am the supervisor. So
I personally don't use any titles, any titles at all. I also don't really act like a CEO. It's actually funny. I read Business by the Speed of Light by Bill Gates, and he actually talks about giving access to everybody, like letting data flow. And that's actually a concept that I really try to implement too, be less of the um, CEO and be like your employees. Every now and then I do the work with them, and I think that's really vital because first of all, it keeps me humble, helps with sales, and it helps me understand them too, which is also good for sales. It's good to keep stuff going. So yeah.
Do you guys have a like a reading list, like some books over, the
One
last couple
second.
years that you've really enjoyed reading?
Oh shit, it's actually filtering out. But Mastering the Complex Sales Second Edition, which I have to thank my ex-girlfriend for, because I went to America, and on the way back we had too much time, so I need to buy a book, and she told me to get this book, and I read it on the plane, and I got home and my business exploded when I started implementing what I read in that book. It's amazing.
I don't. I listen to a lot of like podcasts, but no, not much of a book guy. Not
You
a book
better
guy.
listen to my podcast, Jordan. You better listen. Yeah,
Is it
I'm
on
cool.
Spotify yet?
Sure, it's everywhere. I'm that cool.
Yeah, if there's one book that I would probably like somebody that's venturing into starting their own business, and it's not a horribly long book, but it's called The 4 Hour Work Week, right? Because
Love it.
our end goal is to, not work so much and just enjoy life, right? But JP, it sounds like you're busy coding 24/7.
I'm not coding. I'm trying to
Trying to
I'm
automate it.
trying to beat coders.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, most of my day is just talking to devs to automate everything.
Yeah,
But
I love the 4 hour work week.
well, that's the great thing about automation is you can have a 0 hour work week if you
Yeah,
wanted to.
exactly. No, I think a 4 hour work week is amazing because that gives me the time to do the coding. I wouldn't have the time if I didn't have systems in place. I think, yeah, like you make free time, you start coding, and then you get even more free time because of the things you code. So I think that's pretty awesome.
So who does most of your guys' sales? Do you have, VAs? Do you have people that you've hired? Brent, you touched on having, some of these things are your baby, right? So you don't want other people to get their hands in the mix and possibly mess things up. But
Yeah.
I think as far as, business goes and, wanting to grow whatever you have into an empire, you eventually have to let some of those things go. So have you put any processes in place to kind of automate some of that? Have you figured out how to possibly hire people to do some of the things that you're doing?
So I do a lot of like my business is 90% automatic except the sales part. Like I handle every sale myself, at least the client call because I have acquisition channels, right? But every client call, every onboarding call, every sale call, I handle myself because I think, it's these people's money. So it means a lot to them that they get to speak to the guy they're working with and not just some employee, right? Um, Even though my employees absolutely rock, they're amazing. But I think, yeah, that's some part. I recently discovered that I'm a pretty decent sales guy. So I would say it's the part of the job that I love the most. In fact, a lot of people might be shocked by this, but I don't like SEO that much anymore.
I don't. It's very monotonous work. For my
Right?
yeah, it's. I mean, even a lot of my stuff. Well, my sales lately have been coming to me because I've been getting mostly referrals lately. So they're like, "Hey, I want to talk to Jordan." So
I just don't like it. I mean, I have the systems in place to run it, and I have a client acquisition that is on point, but I don't like SEO as much as I used to. It doesn't stimulate me enough to be passionate about that, but I do love selling, because that little when the client jumps on board, that's a win. That feeling, that endorphin boost, that's more important to me than the whole SEO process. That's why that part is automated of my business, but the SEO part, the selling part, not so much.
yeah, so
Okay.
most of my software that's going to be automated is actually going to allow. It's going to be set for business owners. So it's not. It's going to kind of. I mean, probably most of these agencies are going to hate me, but it's actually going to allow business owners to do everything themselves. Literally the entire process except for the site building process, but everything from content generation, actual doing like GMB optimization, literally everything. So that was my goal, just because I had seen there was such kind of a downturn with what most agencies were doing and providing when it came to like local businesses, that now it's more for me. I wanted to bring more education to the local market to kind of allow them to either at least have an understanding of what they can do themselves, so that, or at least have the knowledge to be able to pick a good agency that they can work with hands on. So that's kind of where my motivation is right now.
You guys feel as if the SEO space is kind of just, I guess, gotten boring and flatlined and everything's just kind of the same? Or do you think that it's still ever changing?
I think the problem is that, I mean, everything literally the principles of SEO have always pretty much been the same.
Yeah.
The issue is that people are trying to like, it's almost like people are just trying to like fucking make up terms to sound smart or sound original. But really, at the end of the day, it's all the same general concepts. Now, local like maps is probably changes the most over the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years. But when it comes to national, it's pretty much been the same. Like, not a whole lot has changed. Content and links is, it's the basis of everything. Now there are, other updates, but like I haven't lost any much traffic from a couple of my national sites since probably Penguin. I mean, I've had to make a couple of adjustments here and there, but I haven't really seen like a ton of loss in traffic. So the problem is too, is like there's so many people. I mean, I'm kind of at fault for it too, but around 2017, 18, there was just a huge flood of like local courses. I mean, when I launched my original one, there's probably 4 or 5 other guys that were right behind me doing it as well. So now business owners have access to pretty much all the information you can. I think a big problem too is all of these Facebook groups. Like when I started, there was no Facebook groups to like get support. So the art of doing SEO for businesses has gone down huge. So I just don't think there's like, I think that's just kind of a problem. Is like most people go to an SEO agency and it's usually because you got fucked over by somebody else and you probably don't really want to do it yourself. But I mean, it's just too competitive. I mean, I would never recommend anyone coming into SEO. Like, I would not recommend anyone to even start an agency.
I think it's what you say. The landscape in itself doesn't really change, even for local. Actually, it has like local has been undergoing the most change recently.
Yeah.
But even then, it's not the change that gets me excited. It's always the same thing, and there's so much stuff that just get rehashed as a new strategy, or it's like you say, they make up terms and they think they sound very smart, but as a result, it's boring. It's not even and there's such an influx of people coming into the SEO space claiming to be SEOs because they get their hands on some tools, or they see like they buy some courses and then they suddenly buy the tools with it, and they don't even take the time to learn SEO, and they
in my opinion, in my opinion, to what makes it fun is if you can get creative on how you make money with it.
Exactly.
Because I actually worked with an auto glass company and a garage door company, and I started with them around the end of 2020, kind of close to when like the pandemic was kind of ending. And I actually made a deal with them where I got like 10% for every job that came in, and then 5% if you ever sold the company. And each one of those companies one sold for 1.8 million, one sold for 1.5 million towards the end of 2021, and the payouts were like in March of last year. So it was a pretty decent payout for me and my partner at the time.
Yeah.
So that's why I tell people, like, if you're saying you're good at SEO, I think that you should transform that into building a business for yourself and using that knowledge that you have in building your own company, or at least get a piece of the pie and structuring that with some type of rev share with a local client.
No, Tyler, you cannot download money robots.
And just rake in the cash. So Jordan, here's a question for you. How what do you see the future being for voice as far as like in the SEO space, in the marketing space, like
For
just asking
voice?
your yes.
What do you mean?
So like you know how there's like Alexa rank and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, do you think that that is it all like more so nowadays like near me services? Like how does that like because for myself, right? I market a lot of cities and a lot of states, and I don't have GMB profiles. And most of the people that are coming to me wanting a service, they're probably sitting at their computer typing something in. You know, I'm like the first through third
Mm-hmm.
option on Google, but um, maybe most people don't have a lot of time for that, right? Most people are mobile users nowadays. So when they're in their car and they're like, "Hey, I need to find, you know, a private investigator near me," right? And it pulls up like the first thing on Google instead of like going to me, which is like on an organic search on your desktop, you know, whatever. It's like m- how does somebody combat that when they're trying to throw this huge national like net out?
Um, I mean, the voice search is still pulling up very similar results regardless of where you're located. So it's still going to pull the same, but the main issue is not necessarily voice, it's mainly the platforms of what like Google's doing for some of these categories. Um, primarily like I don't know, private invest. I don't know, are you guys in local service ads yet? I think maybe saw your guys' category. Do you know?
I'm not sure. I only have like five GMB profiles.
Gotcha. So I don't think voice is really an issue. I think a lot of it is just being more. I mean that's part of it is because like around 2017 is when proximity. Actually 2018 is when proximity became a big thing towards the end of 2018. 2017 is when the 7-pack became a 3-pack. So I think the problem that you're going to have is that a lot of the voice services are probably going to be coming, depending on the category that you're in, are coming from the ads.
Yeah, it makes a lot of
And it also
sense.
is going to depend on what platform you're using. I mean, if you're using Siri, you're pulling everything from Apple Maps. If you're pulling, Google, you're pulling everything from Google search engine. So
Yeah,
it's just going to be depend on which platform that you're using voice for, or what kind of cell phone you have.
Right, right.
couldn't it just be
Um,
that like voice is a bit overhyped? At least I think it is. Like, sure, it brings in business, but like they used, like I just think it's too overhyped for what it really is. Like, it's
Yeah,
still useful.
I don't think a whole lot has changed with voice other than which platform. Apple Maps just changed their name. I think it's called Apple Business Connect or something like that, where you can still submit your own business listing. It's still a pain in the ass, but I mean that's one thing to take advantage as a business owner is to start using Apple Maps as much as you can.
Yeah.
Because what 50-60% of mobile users probably have an iPhone.
Is Apple still in talks of creating their own search engine?
Yeah, they hired a bunch of like technicians and engineers like a couple years ago, but that article came out, I don't know what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that they were actually looking to hire people, but I haven't seen any news since then.
Right.
I think Apple Maps, it's like one of these things that you just like. It's same thing as with TikTok, YouTube, and stuff. When I market myself, I tend to focus on the macros first, macro channels, and then cut it down to the micro channels like TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, and I think you should consider the same with Apple Maps and stuff. Like, you just get it. I think that's necessary in general, but not
I
necessarily
will
for
say,
voice.
I will say this, I think that the overall search is going to be changing dramatically because now everything's becoming into shorts. So you're going to see search results like really basically just showing like little blurbs of information.
Yeah, exactly. Is that something you're playing around with TikTok?
I actually just started being a little bit more active on my TikTok lately. I'm actually I was just commenting with Keith and Steph. I'm like, I'm surprised I got so many views off this one video. Like, it's not even like showing any faces. There's no live people. It's just like a couple of quotes that I put into a video format.
I tried TikTok, but I'm fucked because I'm not from the US. So I like that there's this whole thing, and I don't have a US SIM card, right? So I tried to game the system, but I don't know if it worked yet. I haven't checked. But I asked a US guy to create a TikTok for me, and then I would spoof my Mac ID and my I'll use a VPN, obviously, and see if that worked. I don't know yet if it does. I don't check frequently enough, but it's really shitty how that's set up. Well, it's a good idea, but I think it's shitty. It sucks. The whole near me stuff.
So Jordan, where can we find, I guess, some of your course information?
I can post it here.
Yeah, it's a pretty good course. I've heard great things of it. Just haven't been able to get my hands on it myself.
You need to have some understanding of like maps. It's definitely not a beginner's course. You need to have at least a basic understanding. But it basically goes into the science of what the ranking factors are and how to look at your competition in the area to determine, what you need to do.
Oh,
But yeah,
looks exciting.
I can drop it in the Zoom here in a few minutes.
Yeah, also, if you don't mind, I will put a link in the description. I think it's a really nice course. I think it's more advanced than usual, so that's the fun part. Yeah, I love that.
It's
How
a good
about you?
course compared to others. That's for sure.
You grabbed it, David?
Yeah, I got it. I just haven't looked at it all the way, but I mean, I've had quite a few courses, and some of them are absolutely terrible. Or somebody says they're gonna pay for it. I mean, make a whole course and never finishes it, and you pay for it. But
I wonder who that
it's
is.
just to see. I mean, I'm kind of like Keith was. Like I'm so busy, I don't have time to sit here and test stuff. So it's like, hey, I'd rather pay you to figure out what it is and let's implement it
Yeah.
and call it a
So
day.
yeah, back in like 2012, right before Mapmaker got shut down. So Mapmaker is basically what is created Google Maps. So it used to have like regular users go in there and create streets, buildings, railroads, like literally everything. And so I actually created a fake city in the Midwest and put in like 200 listings there, and I use that as a test network. And it's still live.
That's pretty.
Yeah,
pretty.
I've been offered like 1.5 million, 2 million for it, and I said no.
Jeez, that's a whole lot of money. Yeah.
No, I don't sell out for fucking knowledge like that. I wouldn't even take if someone tried to offer me like multi-million, I wouldn't even take it.
How come?
Yeah,
Is
that's the
it just
problem.
not
Some of
selling
these
out?
guys do.
Why not? Just it's an integrity thing for me. It's something that I built myself. It's something that gives me an edge, and I've never believed in trying to sell out for something like that. It's just a personal thing.
That's a whole lot of money to be personal about.
Hey, you know what? It is what it is.
Hi, Thane, how are you doing? Thane will be communicating through voice chat, through chat for the people in this call, because he's not verbal.
I
So,
love Thane's posts on Facebook. Big follower,
right.
dude. I love it.
Hi, Thane, how are you doing? Doing good, I hope. Awesome. That's pretty cool to not sell out. That's pretty rare nowadays. Yeah, that's cool. But you got a lot of stuff coming out then, right?
Yeah, I mean, most of it's like right now it's just like little tools here and there just to like help people with certain things. But my big project is trying to get the SaaS done. And then I also have like a side project which I'm trying to publish a book about my life.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool.
So who knows? Maybe if I publish that and it does well, maybe I'll sell that network.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Working on the same thing actually. personal book, not really about my life, but more about building habits, how to develop actual habits. I think that's especially from somebody who used to be really fat like me. Um, I know how difficult it is to get yourself going. A lot of people they start too quickly. So yeah, that's something I'm personally working on.
Yeah, the hardest part is starting. But it's something
Exactly.
I've been doing for like the last, I don't know, almost 16 years. I use it as like therapy, is just to be able to kind of write my thoughts down just with stuff that I've been through, and eventually it kind of turned into something I want to put into a storyboard. I actually have a ghostwriter. We meet twice a week, like
Cool.
Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesdays is kind of like she basically like interviews me, and then Thursday it's kind of like editing of what we did the week before. So it's the whole writing, just like trying to get a book is like the whole process is just so fascinating.
Yeah, it
Just
really is.
it just being able, because for me it's like, yeah, I could probably do this myself, but it's like trying to put what I've experienced and my thoughts down. Basically, you're trying to turn like a journal into like a story. And just the whole
Yeah.
process is just, it's really fascinating to me. It's even more fascinating than trying to rank a fucking site.
It's like you say, like there's so much more to it than just writing a book, and I love that part. It's also a good way of expressing in general. So yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
a good thing. Huh. How about you, Thane? Are you still doing SEO work, or are you in general just playing around nowadays?
Just taking names on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he will be responding again for people not listening through chat. So yeah. How about you, David? You're still doing a lot of SEO?
Yep. Sticking with it for
Nice.
now.
Still in the same industry, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, boring. Really most dramatic industry I've ever seen for the people.
Yep. The most drama-filled people ever.
Exactly.
Jordan's gonna find out pretty soon.
He's also gonna hop in the industry.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Pretty cool. Oh, I will be waiting for you. Don't worry, don't worry. Ah, you have written 6 books. That's pretty interesting. What are they about? Are they all about you or specific topics you like?
Ideas for AI. God, there's so many ideas. Um, Probably the biggest one is going to be if you can build something to like process NLP into it, that would be ideal. So like sentiment, stuff like that. Because most of these AI tools just fucking spurt out content without any like actual like meaning or like anything that's actually legitimate that you can actually use. So if you can find a way to build sentiment entities into the AI, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think that's really great.
Actually, if you could actually probably, I mean, you could probably even like use like Razor's API and probably implement that into any type of AI content. That would probably be something you could do as well.
Yeah, indeed.
Or just use Mr. G's NLP and API, but whatever one's cheaper. But that would be awesome if you can do something like that. I'd buy that in a heartbeat.
That sounds quite interesting. No, so you've been keeping up to date then, David, with whole SEO industry. Anything specific you learned? Something new?
No, I just playing more on proximity with maps.
Mm.
I mean, organics is terrible, but some of these people just so focus on organics and it's annoying.
Yeah, I don't. Organic's kind of been a pain in the ass for local. I just focus on maps.
It is. It is, but I mean, some of these people in certain industries are so stuck on organics and it's really hard to get them off of it. And
I would tell people like
so, I
if they're
mean,
in the local service ads, dude, like don't even fucking bother with organic.
Oh yeah, no, these industries aren't. I mean, they're just
2 erotica
it's
books
just
now. Those I have to read. Love it, love it. 4 about
two
you.
erotica books.
Names?
What?
One of them's a documentary about Brent and his profile using Grinder.
How did you know? Jesus.
No, that's awesome, man. I would love to like talk to you about, your process with getting. This is the first time I've ever even thought about publishing a book. It's kind of a scary thing. It's like, wow, I'm actually putting my fucking life out there in the world, but I think it's time. And who knows, maybe it'd be a good way for me to get the hell out of this industry.
It is rather scary indeed. Yeah. Any plans on when you're going to release it?
My goal is to get it done this year. Now publishing, I haven't decided what route I want to take, if I want to kind of go through like kind of the ebook Amazon type of route, or if I want to actually go through a publisher. Like I have some cousins down in Southern California that are all big writers. They write like for kids movies and books, and one of them writes for like Rolling Stone and big writers, movies, things like that. So they said they would help me find like a good publisher. It's something I wanted to go, but like by the time you actually publish through like soft copy, hard copy, I mean, you're probably paying at least probably 10,000 units minimum.
Yeah.
And then, a portion of that goes towards the publisher, portion of it goes towards, editors, anyone else. So like, by the end of the day, it's like, man, like the margins are just, I don't know if the margins are just so bit, small by the time you actually get it out there.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, most of these guys are like, oh yeah, I sold, 2 million copies. Well, like, they probably made, $4, like depending on what they did. Yeah, it's me, Jordan Pearce. Yep. So like by the time they, got everything out, I mean, yeah, you probably spent a good 40-50% of that towards the publisher and editor. So
Yeah, it's an expensive process with very little return. Well,
but if it's something I do, I would probably turn it into an opportunity like of like speaking and coaching or something like that, because it's kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm doing.
yes, that would be
Kind of more
amazing.
like a purpose type thing. It's something for me. It's like this is like my life purpose is to get this done. Like SEO is not gonna like fulfill me like fulfill my life of. It's just a way to get fucking income at the end of the day and make money.
Yeah, it's
I don't feel
similar.
like, oh my god, my life's fulfilled because I rank a fucking site. Like that's not how I feel about SEO at all.
It's the same. Like I'm working my way up to do coaching. That's why I've been starting the podcast. That's why I've been planning some interesting challenges, to do on YouTube. It's because SEO is really good to make money, and it's a ridiculously easy way to make money, and it's all systemized. But it's not something that I see myself do my entire life, in the sense of it doesn't give me the fulfillment that I look to get out of it. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I think coaching is a far more interesting um, field to get into. Just have to define what kind of coaching you want to do, and yeah, that's gonna be fun.
SEO is just a gateway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
it gives, like, for example, I do a lot of testing, right? So I check out courses, I try to apply them, and if they work, I note it down, because that's another thing I'm working on. And if they don't work, then so be it, right? And I think that's the fun thing with SEO. It gives you the budget to invest in other things, to play around and create some um additional incomes. So yeah, it's a gateway. It's really like I love my clients. It's really ridiculous because most people hate clients, but I like my clients. I just don't think that SEO is a very exciting field, and I hate all those people with, yes, CTR this, or you have to do that. I just think that's a weak way to try to sound intelligent.
Yeah, the fancy new tools that never work. Sure.
Exactly.
Nah, I think, I mean, I like JP's idea, like, I mean, we talked about this before, Brent, was
Yeah.
the revenue share. I mean, that's where the money's at. You know,
I
like
mean, I mean, you'd be
you need the
surprised.
SEO to build your own businesses.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, you'd be surprised how much more passionate you'll be about SEO when you have to put your own skin in the game.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
trust me, I have quite a few businesses, and I can tell you, it's you care way more when it's yours and it's your money on the line.
Yeah, you think you won't care
Exactly.
about a bet date? Just fucking wait.
This is a very that's very true. I mean, what I love nowadays is a lot of white label work, because I think that for some reason is getting me back to at least liking the industry because I'm less forced to deal with competitors. And David, you know this as well as me, but certain competitors can be rather fucking toxic, like an absolute pain in the ass to deal with. That's just what pisses me off about the industry. I think white labeling really got some fun for me going back, especially because you're partnering up with those people. But I haven't really tried Rev Share yet. It's something that I'm looking into though. I think that's very interesting. Actually, David and I are supposed to have a call on that. But I've been so fucking busy. It's unbelievable. Huh. Especially nowadays. Jesus. How about you, David? Are you going forward with that whole Rev Share idea?
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple guys in the works that are local. You know,
Awesome.
I kind of found like some people that are friends. I mean, I got a lot of friends in the construction industry, so
Which
we kind of
industry?
went with the find anybody in each niche.
Construction industry, by the way.
Construction, right on.
Yeah, like roofing. I got a buddy that's I got owns a roofing company. I got a landscaper guy. I got my dad does electrical work, generators and stuff like that. I got a buddy that does HVAC. I got another one that's contractor and one that's like elevation. So I like every aspect of construction, home
Yeah.
services. So it works out pretty good, and then they're all willing to do the rev share. It's just, and they're not like all like, hey, hurry up now and get it done. So it's cool. My whole thing is I wanted to make sure I got a contract in place too. You know, like you said, because I got them all right now. Most of them like 10%, and then same thing when you sell, I want money. Like if I'm growing your
Yeah,
business to 7-figure company, I want money when you sell because that's
Yeah.
that's all their end game. I mean, none of them want to retire.
yeah,
Doing all that stuff. They want to build it up and let some bigger guy come in, swoop in, buy them out and call it a day.
yep.
But yeah, it's just finding them. I mean, you find a smaller guy that's willing to grow and just got his license or something like that, and
I mean, those
bam,
are the best
don't
ones,
cost him any
man.
money. And
Yeah, those are the best ones, man. The guys are just like trying to make it viable, or like their wife's posting in Facebook groups or like Craigslist. Like those are the best ones.
absolutely, I mean, I know I listened to the last Mastermind, when you were talking about it, and I said that was exactly what I was doing. I was finding all my buddies that just got their license, all the little young kids that want to grow out and grow on their own. I
Yep.
mean, and all honesty, I mean, I'm in New Orleans area, so it's in the next couple of years, 5 to 10 years. I mean, the trade skilled labor is just going to go kaput. I mean, there's like none of these kids want to do that work anymore. So
No.
it's going to become more and more on these guys marketing. I mean, they making a killing.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
they're barely work.
Well,
So
a lot of these contractors are just like brokering out their license because even then,
That's all they're doing.
they can make more money just fucking being a broker than just doing anything, hiring a team.
I mean, unfortunately, since the hurricane, Ida, like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, I mean, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
They just want to hire, guys, subcontractors, and they never call you back. I mean, they're terrible business owners.
Yeah.
They can go get a license. They're horrible business owners, horrible marketeers. They do nothing. And then when all that hurricane work goes away, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now?
yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, they're all storm chasers. That's the only problem with living on a Gulf Coast. They all chase hurricanes.
Have you ever seen a lot of success with affiliate SEO at Thane?
Man,
Who's that?
I've never really been able to adapt too much in affiliate. I've always wanted to, but I think I'm too impatient.
Yeah, I'm not doing a lot of affiliate SEO, but what I do is I buy websites, making approximately 100 a month, and I look for easy ways to recover them. Like get a boost in rankings. I think that's a quick way to make an extra buck. But lately, I've been doing a lot of experimenting with Google Ads and affiliate. So that's just, well, I must say that's actually quite exciting to play around with. But yeah, I mean, affiliate SEO requires a lot of patience, I think. Yeah, especially, it takes a lot of time to rank them, and then you have to make sure that all the other marketing systems are set up. And yeah, just a bunch
Yeah.
of
I just got a really bad taste in my mouth because like back in the CBD, like when CBD was coming out, like I got into that pretty deep. I was sending like probably 5 to 10,000 visitors a month to this guy, and like hardly anything was converting. So I got so fucking pissed. I was like, I never want to do affiliate again.
Not really. How come? Was it mostly SEO, or just didn't find any industry that you really liked?
I mean, I tried to like get into like wilderness survival type stuff, like stuff that I was like pretty passionate about, like just outdoors type shit. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
think I started it and then I just something I couldn't finish.
Yeah, I initially started when I think it's great. No, it's Garrett Dane started doing it. Because back then he really helped me from zero to getting some money. But it's just not my thing. It's just such a slow pace, and I can see why people do it, right? There's a lot of potential to it, but I just think there's more money in other fields, and SEO, as I said, is just a gateway for me to other investments. I simply do not feel like spending that much time working on projects that only make me a fraction of what I could make selling the actual product.
Yeah.
I like owning the idea behind it. I think I am even a bigger fan of dropshipping at that point than affiliates, because you still get to choose your profit margin. So yeah, it's just too low in my opinion. Yeah. Well, played around with it, didn't like it. Still do play around with it, but only for quick wins. So yeah. Anyway, Rev Share is now the big thing that I'm focusing on, and I would say it looks very exciting. But yeah, I've just been way too busy lately. You have no clue. Holy moly. Are you still doing a lot of Rev Share at the moment, or just specific ones?
I haven't done any rev shares since we sold those two companies.
Any specific reason, or just
I think there could be an opportunity for one of my clients that I'm working with now. Because we actually started building some of our own assets with them just to help bring in some more calls for them. So that might be an opportunity.
awesome?
But probably will be another 6 months once we decide that he's actually serious and he's paying on time.
Yeah, that's another important thing, right? Is the payment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
That's the only
the
thing that's a
advantage
trustworthy
that
thing.
we had is we own like probably 70 to 80% of the assets that was coming in for those two companies. So it's like if they weren't with us, they were kind of screwed.
yeah.
So without us, they probably wouldn't have been able to sell.
Well, yeah. Anyway, we're running out of time, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to go. Thank you everybody for appearing. Thank you, Thane, David, Tyler, Jordan.
Everyone have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, guys. It was a blessing to have you on here. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Later,
Thank you. JP, don't forget to share the link.
Oh yeah, hold on.
Yeah, I will share it in the description.
I'll send it over to Brent and he'll drop it.
Yeah, I will connect you guys if you want. That's not an
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
We
Awesome.
see ya.
See ya.
Oh boy.